No, thank you.
Any trouble with you leaving? Sometimes there's
No.
okay. I need that quick. I was just you've seen the stories on TV, you've heard the stories. So some people don't believe the question they throw too much out of you.
Yeah.
The annual chest. The annual chest.
What's up, Dad?
I don't know.
Good.
Yeah. Good.
No.
Good to see you.
One day at a time.
Yes, sir.
Like that.
Yeah.
What you have to do.
Are you take it easy, Doug?
Okay. Glad you're here. So, week 24. I don't know if I made a mistake. Is it week 24 or week 25?
It's week 24.
Week 24. Okay. All right. So we're winding down. Let's go ahead to. Let's start on page 82. All right. Second paragraph, we'll pick up from there. If we have no such complication, there's plenty we should do at home. Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say that the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. Certainly he must keep sober, for there will be no home if he doesn't. But he is yet a long way from making good to wife and parents whom for years he has so shockingly treated. Passing all understanding is the patience mothers and wives have had with alcoholics. Had this not been so, many of us would have no homes today, would perhaps be dead. So the alcoholic is like a tornado roaring his way through life, through the lives of others. Hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead, affections have been uprooted, selfish and inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil. We feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough. He's like the farmer who came out with a cyclone cellar to find his home ruined. To his wife, he remarked, "Don't see anything the matter here, Ma. Ain't it grand the wind stopped blowing?" So the thing here is that not drinking and not using is the lowest form of sobriety. Okay? And so the book says we feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough. So what is he talking about there? Feel a man is unthinking when he says sobriety is enough. It's got a lot more to do than to not drink and not use. The program's a lot more than that. Okay, so of course, first we stop drinking and stop using drugs, but then we got to start doing some real work, and that's where the real program comes into play. Okay. So on page 83, he says the spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. Unless one's family expresses a desire to live upon spiritual principles, we think we ought not to urge them. So leave your family out if they don't want to be bothered with that stuff. You got to take care. You got to take care of your stuff and don't pass it on to anybody else. He says there may be some wrongs we can never fully right. We don't worry about them if we can honestly say to ourselves that we would right them if we could. Some people cannot be seen. We send them an honest letter. And there may be a valid reason for postponement in some cases, but we don't delay if it can be avoided. We should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being severe or scraping. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. So over and over in this whole chapter, he's given there's all different examples of how to make different kinds of amends. It really pretty much covers everything. He says, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we'll be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and new happiness. We'll not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We'll comprehend the word serenity. We'll know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we'll see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We'll lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We'll intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We'll suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Now, earlier in this study, we came to a point where along the way, we picked up some good nuggets to help us look at our sobriety and grow in our sobriety and grow in our spirituality. For instance, we learned about the four absolutes. Okay, that's a big, and we learned how to just look at stop what we're doing and just look at those four absolutes and see if there's anything there that's to the negative, and that would help us make better decisions and healthier decisions for ourselves. Okay. Now I want to show you something I've been promising to show you. So I want to show you this now today. This is the most useful thing we could get in the 9th step for me personally. And it's something that most people don't even have a clue with, but it works perfectly. So each one of these promises, the 9th step promises, there's 12 of them. Each one we can put with a step. So let's start at the beginning. And you might want to mark your book. Number 1, we're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. Number 1. Number 2, we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Number 3, we will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. You should be marking these as you go along. Number 4, no matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. It started on page 83, the 9th step promises, where it says we are painstaking about this phase of our development. So the first one is we are going to know a new freedom and new happiness. The second one is we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. The third one is we will comprehend the word serenity, we will know peace. The fourth one is no matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how experience can benefit others. The fifth, that feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Number 6, we will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Number 7, self-seeking will slip away. Number 8, our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Number 9, fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. Number 10, we will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Number 11, we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. And the 12th one is they will always materialize if we work for them. Now, what does that all mean? At any time in my sobriety, any time I want, whether I'm feeling good, whether I'm feeling shitty, whether it's raining or sunny out, doesn't matter. And anytime I want, I could stop and go to these 2 pages here and go down this list and ask myself right here and right now, do I have this? So in other words, right here, right now, do I know a new freedom and a new happiness? Yes. I can say yes. Number 2, do I regret the past and wish to shut the door on it? No. Number 3, do I comprehend the word serenity? Do I know peace? Maybe I got some turmoil going on. So I say no to that. Okay. If I say no to that, that doesn't mean that yesterday or tomorrow it's going to be no. But right here, right now, if I say no to that, well, it's telling me where to go to the answer for that. It's telling me to go to the 3rd step. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. So why am I not feeling this? Well, here's my answer. God's not running the show, I'm running the show. And I keep going through the list. No matter how far down, doesn't matter how far down the scale I went. Do I see how my experience can benefit others? Yeah, okay. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity, has it disappeared? No? Well, I gotta go to the fifth step and see what it says. Admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. Maybe I haven't shared something with somebody that I need to on my fifth step. And I go to the next one. Have I lost interest in selfish things and gained interest in my fellows? Yeah, okay, I go with that. Has self-seeking slipped away? No, not entirely. Okay, so where's that? And the answer to that is humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. You following what I'm doing here?
Yes.
Is my whole attitude and outlook upon life changed? Yeah, okay. Do I have fear of people or economic insecurity right here, right now? No. Oh, maybe I owe somebody some money. Maybe I have an amends that I didn't make. So my answer to any one of these is right in the step. Okay. So this is a fantastic tool for me to use to always stay on beam. And I always have the answer that I need. Does that make sense to you what I'm sharing? Does anybody not? Can we go
I
ahead?
have one question.
Go ahead.
Where it says we will not regret the past,
Mhm.
how do you not regret some of the stupid ass things you've done?
Because you've looked at them and you've worked through them. And it doesn't mean that you're happy about them. But you're not going to regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. That's the other part of that sentence. So if you still want to shut the door on it, don't talk about it no more. Don't even think about it no more. Don't bring it up no more. Then you haven't yet got to the point where you've regretted, or you don't regret the past. You still regret the past. If you still regret the past, you're living in the past.
Yeah.
You're not in the here and now.
I think there's a difference between regret and remorse. I can have remorse for those things, obviously, but that's different than regret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I was saying.
I mean, I think sometimes I do. I confuse remorse with regret. Those feelings.
Yeah. It's, you know,
Remorse is more of an action that I've taken. Regret is something that I maybe thought about or made a bad decision. If the decision turned out all right.
okay. It's kind of like shame and guilt.
Right.
Does everybody understand the difference between shame and guilt?
Can you clarify?
Huh?
Can you clarify?
Yeah. Guilt is I've done something wrong and I feel bad about it. Shame is I think I'm something wrong. Shame is an internal thing. I think there's something the matter with me. Where guilt is because of something I've done. And that's kind of like what that was just talking about with remorse and regret. So, but the point is though, that this is the greatest checklist to see where you're at in your own recovery. Anytime you want to. And I want to make sure that it makes sense to all you guys and that you get it and you understand it. So let's talk about it if somebody wants, I don't want to just skim over it.
That's what you're saying.
Huh?
You're using it as a checklist, basically lining the promises up with how your life is going at the moment.
Yes. Yeah. It's a check to check how I'm doing in my spirituality, in my recovery.
Each promises has a step that clarifies.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 12 promises in the 9-step promises, and each one you can relate to the step.
All right, do they go in order?
Yeah.
From the first promise all the way down to the last promise, it goes with step one for the first promise.
Yeah.
Step two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just read them out. Did you not mark them?
Yeah, I got it marked.
Okay.
I got it marked.
So we went in order. We didn't skip around.
Since I was hearing you say, self, all right, never mind. Okay, I see which one.
Yeah, we're gonna know new freedom and new happiness. That's the first step. So. So I want to make sure it makes sense to you guys. Does it make sense to you guys?
Sort of.
Huh?
I don't understand why does two with step two?
Okay, what does two say?
Will not regret it.
We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. You don't see the relation there? Okay. So if you're restored to sanity, okay, then you're not gonna regret the past and you're not gonna shut the door on. Because you've been restored to sanity. And that's not you anymore. And you're gonna learn and grow from that. There's no way, there's no exercise in the book or anywhere in life where you could go back in the past and undo what you've done. Right? There's nothing that can happen like that. So the next best thing then is to learn from it, grow from it, and move on from it. And that's not, and if I can learn from it, grow from it, and move on from it, then I'm not regretting the past.
Does it help the fact that we've addressed it in trying to make amends, bringing it up in our inventory?
Yeah, and
So-
looking at our defects of character.
Can't change anything in the past, but we've tried to make whatever we did right as best we could with the
Yeah.
steps.
Yeah,
So at that point, we don't regret it anymore because we've done all we
Yeah.
can to fix it.
yeah, and that's the way the whole book is, except for the sexual inventory and the fourth step, which is for the future. To form a safe and sound future sex life.
Right.
Right? But everything else is about, cleaning up my past and growing from it and getting something from it. I hope if you've learned anything in these last 23 weeks here, that you've learned is that there's a lot of work to do in these steps. So much more than that, than when you go to meetings and you hear somebody talk about a step. Or you go to a step study meeting and they talk about it, but nobody gets really into the depth of it, you don't really hear hardly anybody talk about sex and recovery, right, in meetings, right? But it's part of our inventory process. Yeah, so I mean, what we're doing is a deep dive into these steps, and there's a lot of work to be done on all these steps. Who's that late coming? Okay,
I feel like one of the biggest benefits to my biggest failings, kind of like when I come into AA, the fact that I know I identify with you, and that sets me free regarding my alcohol. When it comes to all the other things, like I'm a mom who drove drunk with my child in the car, I've been in prison. So when I can look at someone, I can go to a prison and bring recovery into a prison and say, I've been here.
Yeah.
That's what helps me not regret my past, because I can
Sure.
use it to help somebody else be able to.
that's a great example. It's a great example. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But
I mean, I think.
Perfect answer.
To say I don't regret my past is not the same thing as saying what I did was okay.
yeah, no, it's no,
It's not-
there's no.
That's not what I'm saying when
Yeah.
I say I don't regret the past.
You forgive yourself for your past. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to condone. it.
Given the opportunity, I don't know that I would go back and repeat it,
Like forgive someone.
knowing what I
Right.
know now, but
But that's in case you guys didn't hear online, she's talking about, being able to use her past to help people today, basically, which makes a lot of sense. And if that's the case, then you certainly don't regret the past and you don't want to shut the door on it. I can go to a prison too, and I can share that, I used to be here. I spent a lot of years locked up, and that carries a little more depth and weight.
Yeah.
And what you shared carries a little more depth and weight. And the book talks about the message has to have depth and weight.
Exactly, it don't work.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if I go to, if somebody that doesn't have the experience, and they work with somebody, whatever it is, whether it's prison or anything else, okay, the only level that we can meet on is that we're both alcoholic, okay? Well, that's a place to start, but how much depth and weight does that message have? But if you went through what I went through and you did the things that's why we have speaker meetings, right? So they say if you stick around long enough and you go to enough meetings, you're going to hear somebody tell you a story. So, we're not unique. What?
If it's been named, it's been done.
Yeah, yeah, and guaranteed some of us have done it. Yeah. So, my granddaughter told me a good joke. She said, "What's the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi?" And I said, "What?" She said, "In Dubai, they don't like the Flintstones, but Abu Dhabi do."
Oh, my.
That was a good one. Abu Dhabi do. Okay. All right. All right. So only in AA you can talk about prison and the Flintstones. All right. So I want to make sure, is everybody okay with this? This is a great tool. I've taught this for years to people, and half of the ones I've taught it to don't ever even use it. And I don't know why, because it's something that can enhance your recovery, enhance your spirituality. It's something that'll get you on the right track when when you're stuck.
Did you learn this from someone, Danny, or did you develop it?
You know what, Lynn? I don't think I learned this from anybody. I think it was studying and doing these studies that I do. I think one day it dawned on me that there's 12 in talking to somebody that there was, there's 12 of them. Does this go with that? I went, well, sure could. And ever since then, I've been using it with that, and it works. Yeah. Yeah, so you go to meetings sometimes, they say nobody has nothing original. That's bullshit. We all got something original. Yeah, we're unique people.
Do we necessarily have to use the step for each one of those, or can other steps actually help with them?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I would say go through all of them and ask yourself which one you're not feeling right now.
Because
then
it seems like the one where we will know serenity we will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace would work for the second step as well.
Well, I think it works better with the third step, because that's where you make the decision to turn your will and your life over. The second step is just more about getting in touch with who your God is. But in the third step, you're actually making the decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of that God, right? And the third step was a lot about learning about your self-will, right? So if you understand your self-will, then you really comprehend the word serenity, and you know peace when you stop. What we say the third step was all about was getting out of result business, remember?
Yep.
The third step is about getting out of result business. So if I get out of result business, boy, I comprehend the word serenity and I know peace, because I'm not putting anything on as a result of what I'm doing. It's got to be this way. I'm not living like that. So that's peace and serenity right there. And that's the third step. So, okay. Anybody else? You have a look on your face there.
Yeah, I'm still having a problem with that, difference between regret and remorse. That's what I was looking at.
Okay, well, forget regret and remorse and look at what we talked about with being able to utilize your past to help people today in the same situations as you and the same type of crisis or the same type of situation. And you have something to share because you've worked through it. Okay. And does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, and if you can do that, then there's no way you can regret the past. And there's no way you want to shut the door on it. Because it's a powerful tool to help somebody else. You know, never forget the reason we're here is to help somebody else. We're not here because we're, you know, all that and piece of apple pie on top. You know, we're here because we're here because we all have the ability to help somebody else. I know you may find this hard to believe, but not everybody wants to hear what I got to say. I know. It's
Even in the truth.
I know, but it's true. Therefore, each one of you is important because somebody is out there dying that only what you have to say is going to help them. And shame on you if you're not here to say it when you need to say it. So we're all needed, we're all important, and we all have a message to carry. You know.
I was just gonna say, if it wasn't for simple desperation, I would have walked in the door and found this problem.
Right. Yeah. Because nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, my life is great. I think I'll join AA.
Yeah.
No, just on what you said, Gary, was a statistic published today. 90,000 died of oil.
Yeah. A lot more people are dying because of that fentanyl that they're putting in the dope today. That shit'll kill you.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So once again, anybody else? Anything on the first 9 steps? Any questions on the first 9 steps? So what is the main purpose of this book? Or what's your main purpose? What's your real purpose? You know?
To be useful to my
Have a new
fellow.
life,
Huh?
new life. I mean, to keep it. It's a simple term.
Page 77, top of the page. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. It's in the 9th step, that sentence. The reason it's in the 9th step is because I need to clean up my list, my 8-step list. As much as possible, I need to go through that list and make things set right my wrongs. Okay. The more people I make amends to, the more people I have in my life. The more people I have in my life, the more real purpose I could be to God and those about us. Simple, right? If that's right, if that's our real purpose is to be of maximum usefulness to God and the people about us, then I need to clean up my side of the street as best I can, because that will bring more people into my life. All right, first 9 steps. Anybody got a question? Okay. Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we're wrong, promptly admitted it. So the first thing that we want to talk about is, I think we already discussed it in here, that, you know, the people will go around in the rooms, talk about 10, 11, 12 being the maintenance steps. There are no maintenance steps. These are not maintenance steps. I've been in meetings and people have shared some really spiritual stuff like, I live in 10, 11, and 12. And, you know, my sick head goes, really? What about the other 9 steps? You visit them once in a while? These are growth steps, 10, 11, and 12. Because that's our purpose, is to continuously grow spiritually. Okay? To maintain means to stay the same. We don't want to stay the same. We want to grow. So here on page 84, after the 9-step promises, it says, this thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. So that's an important sentence right there. Because the thought, the mindset in a lot of places with a lot of people is that the 10th step is something that we should do at nighttime. Before we go to bed, do a 10th step. Do a 10th step every night. Unless the book is telling me this is not something that I do at nighttime. This is something I do as I go along throughout the day. As we go along. So it says, huh? Promptly. Yes. We'll talk about promptly in a minute, but yes. So we continue to set right all new mistakes as we go along. We don't wait to go home at night and write down a list of where I messed up and what can I have done better. It says we vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. So how do we clean up the past? Those first 9 steps are going to help us clean up the past, right? We have entered the world of the spirit. So we've entered the world of the spirit. What does that mean? I've probably heard a million different definitions of what that means. We've entered the world of the spirit. Entering the world of the spirit means that I have the ability to go to that place where I know God is and find God and bring that God that I found into what's happening right here and right now. That is, God is the realm of the spirit, right? So if I've entered the world of the spirit, I have the ability to go to where I know God is and bring that God into what's happening right here and right now. Because I have entered the world of the spirit. Now, I've entered a lot of places in my life. I do on a regular basis, but I don't stay there. And none of us stay there. So the work is to be in the world of the spirit as often as possible. And that means being diligent about these steps. Doesn't mean to go to 19 meetings in this week. It means to be diligent about the steps and having them alive and well in my life. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. Do you remember that when we first started, I gave you that little knowledge plus practice equals learning? Learning changes character, character changes the way we feel. Remember that? And we found that in how it works. And I said, and we're going to find it again. Okay. So this is again, my next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. Knowledge plus practice is understanding and effectiveness on a whole different level than we found it last time. Understanding is knowledge, and effectiveness is practicing that knowledge. And I think the first time we came across that was in how it works. On page 58, in the first paragraph, in the middle of the first paragraph, it says, they are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living, which the man's grasping and developing is knowledge plus practice. Grasping is the knowledge, and developing is the practice of that knowledge. Okay. So I gave you that formula way back in the first few weeks that we were here. Knowledge plus practice equals learning. Learning changes character. Character changes the way we live. Lynn.
I thought when you change your character, you change who you are.
When we change our character, we change how we live.
Well, okay, you said 3 things. Change how we feel and how we live, and I forgot the other one.
This stuff,
I always thought it was basically you change your character, you change who you are. We've been reborn. I don't act like I used to act. I don't steal anymore. I quit lying.
Huh.
You know, I mean, so I've changed who I am.
You're changing how you live.
I've changed how I think too.
I don't know. Have you?
Yeah.
Maybe you have.
Okay.
I'm not here to argue that you haven't.
Well, okay.
Maybe you have. I change the way I think, but what I find when something happens, I think pretty much the way I've always thought. I love, I love Mike Tyson's quote. Mike Tyson has the best quote in the world. Mike Tyson said, "Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face." Yeah, that's a great quote. So, yeah, knowledge plus practice, like a math equation. Knowledge plus practice equals learning. Learning changes character. Character changes the way we live. Week 2. Okay, I got that in week 2. Yeah, back on week 2. But here it is again in step 10. The growing understanding and effectiveness. So I've been sober a long time, Lynn. And when something happens, my mind, my first thought is not a spiritual, pleasant thought. It's just not. Yeah, I tell people, if you knew what went through my mind, you wouldn't even sit next to me. It's just not. It's sometimes it's the second thought or the third thought, but sometimes it's the fifth or sixth thought, the spiritual thought. But I pretty much think the way I always thought. I just don't live that way anymore. So that's what recovery is about. Recovery is about doing what you're supposed to do, doing the right thing in spite of how you feel, in spite of what you're thinking, in spite of what's going on in that sick mind of yours. All right, that's what recovery is about. And the more we practice this, the more it becomes second nature, but still, you know.
We still have those moments, right?
It's still called.
I had a guy come into the pizzeria the other day, okay? You come into my restaurant, there's a big counter and there's 5 or 6 large pizzas lined up there, and there's a big menu board there. And the guy comes in the other day and he's standing right there and he's looking, and then he says to me, "Do you have pizza?" And my first thought was to reach across the counter and smack him and throw him out of the place. But I didn't do that. I said, "It's a pizzeria. Of course we have pizza."
You should said
So
no.
that was my second thought. My first thought was to really just reach over and smack him. What the fuck is the matter with you? Where do you think you're at? New York pizza and pasta. Hello? It's not a fucking hardware store.
That's why we're in New York.
Yeah. But, huh? No, actually, he didn't get pizza. He got a sandwich.
Oh, God.
But I mean, that's so, you know,
Yeah.
and I was feeling, I wasn't in a bad mood or nothing. But, you know, there's just some stupid people out there. And you run into them all day long. You know,
And up there, it says, straighten out the wrongs. In the book, it says mistakes. You know, is there a difference? Continue to set right any new mistakes.
where are you looking at?
Step 10, that paragraph, this brings us step 10, with success, we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. And on the board up there, it says any wrongs.
Oh, that's not correct. That's not correct.
Step 10.
Continue to take personal inventory when we're wrong, promptly admit it.
It's not a big deal. This is one of those things. I just wonder why they didn't use the other word.
Well, this is the step is continue to take personal inventory when we're wrong, promptly admit it. That's the step.
Yeah.
But this is the explanation in the book of it. So they're not going to use the same exact wording.
Bill never did do that.
No.
He loaded up the sword.
No, but
Danny, I think he what gets you into the spirit of continuing to improve and power. So, I like, it's a good day. When things go my way, I stay sober. It's a great day. When things don't go my way, I stay sober.
Yeah, you know, I don't know about that because I'll tell you why, Mike. No matter what goes on in my life today, good or bad, I don't have any bad days. First of all, I haven't had a bad day in many, many, many years. But I have some bad moments. I have a bad minute or two. I have a bad few seconds here and there. You know, if I have a really horrific day, it's about 5 minutes. You know, but so I don't have bad days. So that's the first thing. And I really don't. And believe me, things haven't been peachy cream with me my entire sobriety. But I just don't have bad days because number one of the things we just talked about is learning how to get out of result business, right? We learned that in step 3. And if you learn how to get out of result business, then your days aren't going to be as stressful because you're not planning the results of shit. You're just doing the next right thing in front of you, doing the best you can, and the results are none of your business. If you could live like that, you live in peace and harmony. Okay. So yeah, so my days are not about being sober. Drinking or not drinking, using or not using. My days are not about that. And they haven't been about that for me. Now, I don't want to forget where I'm at. And when I'm working with new people, I understand that's where they're at. I need to remember that. So in that case, yeah. But for my own personal recovery, it's not about drinking or using. I'm not, I got a list of 500 things and it's probably on the bottom of the list, drinking and using, there's a lot of other things wrong with us, what we have to do something about, and drinking and using not there. So it's not about having a successful day because I didn't drink. If that's the case, I've had many successful days, but I really haven't. I've had good days and I've had not so good days, as far as things happening, but through it all, I'm okay. And that's the important thing, just being able to ride the storm and being okay regardless of what's going on in your life.
Danny, I like what you just said, but when we go to meetings, just general meetings, most of what we're hearing, what people are just totally full of is whether they're all about drinking. Stay away from it. If I do, I'm off the
And that's 90% of it.
I know it's a shame though. I've been to many meetings and there's guys with 20, 25 and 30 years sober and they're talking about, when I get up in the morning, I pray to God, keep me sober today. And I go, why? Why? I think you've got that part figured out if you haven't had a drink in 25 years, right? Why? Oh, by the way, Barry's got 28 years today. Very good, Barry. Just think, 28 years ago, you walked into a meeting and who was there? My funny shoes. So, I don't think it's about that for people that are really on the beam, really doing the deal. I don't think it's about, I haven't asked God to keep me away from a drink or a drug and way more than 25 years. There's no reason to. If I could take that same time and that same effort and apply it to some of the things that I really need to work on in myself, I'm going to grow. I'm going to grow spiritually. You guys, those of you that know me, everybody that knows me, I haven't taken a vacation from AA my entire sobriety. I've been here day after day after day for almost 30 years now. And I just don't take no breaks from sobriety. I didn't take any breaks from living the life I lived before I got here. You know, so I really, I find that the message is very diluted when people with a long-term sobriety are sharing in meetings about not drinking and not drugging. Not drinking and not drugging is the lowest form of sobriety. It's just the tip of sobriety. It's got really nothing to do with real sobriety. Real sobriety is about getting spirituality and growing spiritually and doing these things that you're continuously on the path of growing spiritually. Those that do this not wholeheartedly, they grow a little spiritually and they fall back a little bit. And then they grow a little spiritually and they fall back a little. I spent my life doing that, building up castles and knocking them down. I don't want to do that sober. That's a waste. I want to grow spiritually and I want to continue to grow spiritually. That's what my life is about today. All right, so back to page 84 here. So our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness, knowledge plus practice, okay? This is not an overnight matter. So what we just talked about, everything we just talked, not an overnight matter. It's going to happen, but it's not going to happen tonight. It should continue for how long? Our lifetime. Doesn't talk about taking a break. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. So let me ask you a question. Where did I first look for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear? Huh? The fourth step. That was the first time I looked for that, right? So what I'm getting at here, as we read this paragraph that this is step 10, this is the first time we're coming to a step that's not really a new step. There's nothing really new about the 10th step. All the 10th step is 4 to 9 on a regular daily basis. It's steps 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we continue to look for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, what is that? 6 and 7. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of got those words mixed up for many years. My first few years here, I thought it said, we ask God to remove them at once. Doesn't say that. That would insinuate that I'm making demands to God. It doesn't say we ask God to remove them at once. It says, when these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. Not we ask God to remove them at once. There's a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Don't confuse that. Okay? Yeah. So we ask God at once to remove them. So that means that I go right to God immediately. But I'm not demanding God remove them immediately. But I go to God with it and I get some peace and understanding. Awareness is half the game in any of these steps. Then we discuss them with someone immediately. That's the 5th step, isn't it? And we make amends if we have harmed them. That's 8 and 9. So there you go. We just went through the first 9 steps. 4 through 9. And then we're going to continue on now. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. That's the 12th step. And love and tolerance of others is our code. That's the 11th step. So in this paragraph here, I'm learning that that the world of the spirit is the ability to find the God that I found and bring him to the moment of what's going on in my life. Okay. And that I'm going to go to God right away and ask him to remove these things. And I'm going to do all these other things that it's telling me to do. And now, so here's what I got to ask myself. Do I believe that I need to continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as I go along? Do I believe I need to do that? Because a lot of us, we don't really believe that we need to do that because we don't do that. And you remember, remember the four absolutes here too, right? Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? How's it going to affect others? Remember that you can apply that here in the 10th step. Now there's 3 things that we need to look out for. And again, the 10th step is not something that I just do at nighttime. I'm not saying that we don't do the 10th step at nighttime, but it's not something that I just do at nighttime. It's as I go along, as I go through the day. And you want to write this down. There's 3 things we need to be mindful of. 3 things that we need to look out for. Words. Number 1, words. Number 2, actions. And number 3, thoughts and motives. Write those down. Number 1, words. Number 2, actions. Number 3, thoughts and motives. Words, actions, thoughts and motives. Why is it important to be diligent about those 3 things? Words affect other people. Those 3 things are what's going to get me in trouble. Period. Right? Those 3 things are that's what gets me in trouble. Words, actions, my thoughts and motives. They get me in trouble all the time. So if those are the things that really get me in trouble, then I need to be diligent about those things in my life. All right. So now, on the bottom of page 84, we're going to come to what we call the second set of promises. In the 9th step, we have the promises, and now we have what we call the second set of promises. These are the 10th step promises. It says, and we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. For by this time, sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We're not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. So if the problem has been removed, why are you still sharing after 20 years that you need to pray every morning to God keep you away from a drink? The problem has been removed.
So you're saying then spiritually, if you haven't really worked those steps.
Right, then the problem hasn't been removed, and then you probably need to keep asking God. But 20 years is a little bit long time for that. All right. Whatever works for you, but if you follow the directions, it'll happen a lot quicker for you. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. If it don't exist, why am I going to ask God to keep me away from a drink? It doesn't exist, this problem for me. We're neither cocky nor we're afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react as long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. Now, let's just say you're new. And, everybody comes in here new, comes in here with a whole bunch of problems and circumstances going on in their life. And they're not in a great place, right? Imagine if you sit down with a new person, you say to them, listen to what this book is promising you. Listen to what you can have if you do this stuff. You can't have it right this minute. Because it doesn't happen overnight. We already read it. It doesn't happen overnight. But If you stick around here and do what we tell you to do and do what the book tells you to do, listen to me for a minute. This is what's gonna happen to you. Now, they're only here a couple of days. Their life is shit. They can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Everything's fucked up for them. And here we are, we're telling them, we have ceased fighting everything and anyone, even alcohol, even drugs. For by this time, sanity will have returned. We're seldom interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That's the miracle of it. We're not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor we are afraid. That's our experience. That is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. Now, the person that I'm talking to cannot see this, cannot feel this, cannot have this yet. But I like to sit down and tell them, this is what you can expect. Because this is what the book tells me will happen to you if you do the thing. It doesn't happen, doesn't come overnight. We just read that. Don't come overnight. But imagine living and feeling everything I just read to you from where you're at right now. They usually say, you're full of shit, I'm out of here.
And that's why it doesn't happen to me. What I love what you're saying, and many of us here who have some time and work the steps diligently, totally get what you're saying. But the reality is that does not happen in AA. Doesn't happen.
It depends what meetings you go to, you know.
I don't know.
So-
I go to several different meetings.
Myself,
Rarely hear
so myself and the people I work, especially new people, I encourage them to only go to structured meetings. I only go to literature meetings where they're reading the big book, they're reading the 12 and 12, they're reading the literature, or of course, a speaker meeting. I discourage people from going to open topic meetings.
But what ends up happening, even if you pick a very discreet, good topic, as soon as it's open for sharing, it's all about.
Well, no, you see, that's why I said it depends where you go. If you go to a group that in their business meeting, when they're picking the chair people, they don't just say, okay, next month, all right, Jerry's gonna chair it next month. No, in the business meeting, they say, Jerry, do you have the ability to cut somebody off if they're going in the left field or they're talking about something not on the topic? And you go, yeah, I think so. Okay, then you can chair the meeting. See, it's all about who's chairing the meeting. Really, I'm telling you. I mean, I've seen it a million times, and I've been part of a group that for years we pick the chair people carefully because we want the topic to stay on whatever it is. We don't allow you to share about anything else. Now, at the end of the meeting, there's 5 minutes or 10 minutes that we say for burning desires, and anybody can share about anything they want. But during that meeting, you must share on what was read. And that's a good meeting to go to.
A lot of the meetings I've been going to lately,
Mhm.
there are a ton of new people. I mean, every meeting, there's 3 or 4 that have never been there. And those meetings, they read everything, they do everything. And it's really hard to share all this
Well,
with somebody that's, when there's 3 or 4 people that are brand new and they're fucked up. I mean, I'm sorry about my language.
Yeah.
But their lives are really messed up because, you know, they got a court date next week and they got, you know, just got thrown out of their apartment. Now they're living in a sober house and they hate their roommate.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, what.
Yeah, but you know, the truth of the matter is for most of them, that living in a sober house is a step up from where they just came from. Jail or the streets or, you know, or some dope house or,
Yeah.
you know, so, you know, listen, it is what it is. But the only thing that I'm saying is I personally attend meetings that are structured meetings. And I encourage the people that I sponsor to go to structured meetings and to stay away from and I try to find groups that have some structure where they can, you know, where they don't allow somebody to go off and talk about, whatever they want to talk about. It's not, if it's a structured meeting, the topic is already there. And if you're not sharing on that topic, then you need to wait to the burning desires. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
If you can't find that, start a meeting.
Yeah.
All right, same time, same channel next week. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Danny.
We're coming down to the nitty gritty. Don't miss the last few weeks.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, guys.
Good meeting,
Thank you,
Danny.
Danny.
See you next week.
Hi, Kathy. Hi, Barbara. Larry, Johnny, Dan.
Danny, how you doing?
Good, pal. Take care, guys.
Okay.
Have a good week.
All right.
Thank you,
you too.
Danny.
Bye-bye.